Ja Morant claps back at Stephen A. Smith for saying this about Ja and Memphis. This one is by Charles NBA. Let's check it out.
Ja Morant went on Twitter to clap back at Stephen A. Smith after Stephen A. said these things about Ja and the Grizzlies on First Take after the Desmond Bane trade, and to Ja's point, during the NBA Finals.
It's about your availability and how much you also want to be here, because Memphis ain't the ideal spot. When we look at the powers in the Western Conference, we got to make sure he want to be there, fellas. You got Dallas. You got Houston. You got San Antonio on the come up. You still got LeBron and Luka in L.A. The Clippers were relevant until James Harden decides not to show up for another Game 7. I mean, damn. I'm just looking around the Western Conference.
Wow. It's always opportune to throw James Harden shots every time. But then again, James Harden is the one that gives them these ammunitions. You see, if you show up in a Game 7, these stuff do not happen, but that's near or there.
Okay, and Dallas is coming back and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, are you sure you want to be here? Because this is going to be a long haul for us to elevate ourselves to relevance once again. In 6 seasons, he's taken the team to the playoffs 4 times. He only has 1 playoff series win. 1. So all of those things I got to take into consideration. I'm not saying you throw him out, because the brother's too big time and he's box office to ignore. What I'm saying is I can also get a lot for him. So I got to know you want to be here. And I got to know, yo, you realize what we going through, right? How much you want this? How much you want this? Because if not, we could move you and we going to get a hell of a lot for Ja Morant. I know y'all got to go. You going to tell folks why nobody wants to be in Memphis, or you want me to do it?
Oh, no, for a player like me, I just don't think that the league, like, if a guy's like me, I love to be in Memphis, I embrace it, but you got to identify those guys, right? And it's not that simple, especially a younger guy to identify that wants to be in Memphis. I want to hear you say, why you think?
The people in Memphis is a great sports town, great fans, great people. Yeah. But there's an element there where cats like Jimmy Butler and others don't feel it's the safest environment. I'm talking to the local authorities in Memphis. You got to clean some of that stuff up, because it's dissuasive to NBA players.
So he's saying basically what? Violence, crime and violence. NBA players don't like being in Memphis. I mean, that can be a detractor. That can be one. I can see that. But you see, the thing that he's talking about, saying that, I get it from the point of Ja Morant's side, you know. I would get if Ja Morant would say, you know, I want to leave because you traded Bane and basically got, Caldwell Pope. That's a nice piece. Cole Anthony, you know, that's another small guard to put beside Ja, like, or he's coming off the bench or something. Like, you never really made moves that could help the team, like put you over the top. So I could get and see why Ja Morant would want to leave if he wants to leave, but I don't like it from the team perspective that, you know, we need to know if you know, wants to be here, or we should trade it, because Ja Morant is the superstar. And if I'm a team, I'm not trading you. Like, we're going to work this out. I don't get the idea that, you know, every time something goes bad, we should just give up. We should just abandon ship and whatsoever. No, like, the Ja Morant is a player for the Memphis Grizzlies. So if we're Memphis, I don't need to have any conversation about if you want to be here or not. Yo, I want you here, and I'm going to make it work because I want you here. Forget us trading Bane or whatever. Maybe we have a plan behind it. Maybe they already have talked to him about it and show him the whole blueprint of where they're going. So for him to come on and say, you know, we need to talk to Ja if he wants to be here so we can give him grace to trade him. The only reason Ja Morant should be traded from Memphis is if he really wants it. But me as Memphis, I'm not asking him that. He's everything I have. My arena is filled because of Ja Morant. Why would I ask him if he wants to be here? Ticket sales are going through the roof because Ja Morant is here. Jersey sales, top 10 in the league. Because he is here. Why would I ask him if he wants to be here? I'm going to make it work out. No, if you choose that you don't want to be here and you come with the antics like, I'm not trying to show James Harden under the bus or anything, but you show up fat for training camp or anything along that line or hold out, then have to part ways. But other than that, I'm not asking you if you want to be here. You're everything I have. You're going to stay here, in my opinion. But, these are the big reporters, they know everything.
They have talked about it. I know they've told me.
And firstly, on Twitter, Ja Morant said that he will not be leaving Memphis and stated his sources, that being himself. And he said, talking about the Grizz more than the finals, laughing face, with these cap-ass sources, instead of focusing on the performances.
Well, I mean, I guess this stemmed from, because they traded Bane and whatnot. So they are going to talk about the Grizzlies, Ja Morant, because, your team was involved in a trade, and with everything that happens with Memphis, one way, shape or the other, it's gonna lead to them talking about you, because you're the guy, you're the franchise, you're everything. So I get it, you always want them to stop talking about you, but you can't run from that, bro. You're the Memphis Grizzlies. You're everything that they have. So, yeah.
We've seen from J-Dub Shy, TJ McConnell and Pascal Siakam how this series is going. We say something negative about the City team on a national level, and that's when Stephen A. quote tweeted that, saying, "So this is what we're doing now, Ja. I recall talking about the finals, but the Memphis Grizzlies made news because of Bane getting traded and your possible extension coming up. Would you prefer I go into detail about what the hell it has been going on in Memphis, why players have stated they're not interested in going, or even more details? Or would you like me to leave well enough alone and let the great peeps of Memphis address it on their own? Your call. I'm all ears." Let me know.
Well, that's a lot to unpack from right there. Well, he already kind of said, I guess the crime or violence, he kind of like indicated at that being, a possible motive for people not wanting or being interested in going to Memphis. I've also heard, because of the small market and so forth, if you're a big time talent or, a big time player, you wouldn't want to go there because, you're not going to get the hype you deserve. But unless you're like a superstar like Ja Morant, you see what I'm saying? But what you guys think about this whole situation? Leave it your comments down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.